Names of Marvin Weinstein, Mordecai, Oyster, Ben Yisrael, Aaron, Sarah Alfred, and three of her husband, Revsby, Lipa, Ben Hillel, Rexford, friends of Maddie, Dryden, Mandel, Miriam, Bus, Kalman, Reuben, Helen, David Adler, in memory of her father, Elias, and Grace of the Cohen, friends of Honey, Chaffetz, Kana Shoshana, Bas Yuza, friends of Jack Prince, Yaakov Yitzchak, Ben Shmuel Dov, friends of Sandy, David of Shulam, Bas Chaim Elio, friends of Judah Cohen, Yehudis Liba, Bas Moshe, friends of Dr. Anek Zapransky, Hannah Bas Ephraim Fischel, month of learning, Jill and Perry Meltzer, in memory of her mother, Bila Bas Abram, and his father, David Ben Fischel Araivi. Sid Paris, in memory of his wife, Sarah Tova Bas Israel Dov. Jack Gilman, in memory of his mother, Elka Bas Yeshayahu. Friend, a week of learning, Judy and Michael Beretsky, in memory of her sister, Gutta Esther Bas Yaakov Yitzchak. And today is the 8th, is that correct? And we have David and Sheila Slomnicki, memory of his brother, Chaim Yisrael Avram Cohen, and David and Sheila Slomnicki, again, in memory of his mother, Tova Chaya Bas Chaim Yisrael Alevi. May the Neshamas have an Aliyah, Allah Kranz and Arafiyah, and Allah Yidden Yeshia.
Amen. Okay, we're at the very bottom of Memdalad Amud Beis, Gufa. And as often as I've shown you many times, as often happens, we're about to learn something that's been an assumed principle for the last couple of pages. Now we're first going to look at the original discovery that was the principle. Gufa, we learned back to the original principle. Amar Rabin Bar Shmuel Mishmei Dishmuel. He said, if a person sold the field to his friend, even without a guarantee, he's not allowed to testify on behalf of the person he sold it to against the person who claimed that the field originally belonged to him and not even to the one who sold it. Why can't he? Because he ends up by defending the possession of the buyer, he has a personal interest in making the field available to his creditor. The Gemara said, 1 second, what are you talking about? What are you saying? You want to say he's interested party? He says, what's the case? He says, if the person who sold this land, who we questionable whether he can testify, if he has other land, it's a non-issue. So what? So what if somebody takes the property away from the buyer or doesn't take it away? In the end, since he has other land, then any creditor that's going to own the company is going to come back to him anyway. He has other land. He has free unencumbered property, so he's going to collect from him. So therefore, if he testifies, he's not going to gain anything by leaving it in the hands of the seller, of the buyer, because anyway, he has land free. We the Leslie Arik, we see he has no other land. My naftalimine. If he has no other land, why does he care? Okay, in other words, here, if he can testify and leave the hand in the land of the buyer, he doesn't gain anything. Why? Because let's say he doesn't testify, okay, and they take it away. So it's not going to come back to him anyway because he doesn't have what to pay with. So either way, what's the difference? He doesn't have anything what to pay with. What's he going to gain or lose? The Gemara says no. He doesn't have other land to pay with, and what's going to happen is nobody has recourse to him, but it is still better for him to keep it in the hands of the buyer. The Amar lo nicha de lehebi lo barasha below yishalem. He doesn't want to be in a position that we say that a wicked borrower, doesn't pay. In other words, he says what? He says since if he keeps it in the hands of the buyer, his creditor who gave him a loan before he sold that land is going to have recourse to collect from the land in the hands of the buyer. So he gains. Even though you're right, there's no gain in terms of coming back to him, but there is a gain in the fact that he at least is not considered a person who borrowed and didn't pay back. Mara says, so what? What did he gain? So he you're right. So he didn't do a bad to the guy who he lent him the money. He still did a bad to the guy he sold the field to. The guy's going to lose the field, and he has no recourse. So he's still a bad guy, still a Russia. He says, okay, I said, Gemara says, he says, so the final answer, the guy, even if vis-a-vis the buyer, Lover Russian he's essentially a bar person who borrowed and didn't pay. If he sold him a field that didn't belong to him, so Lamaisa, the money he took was, so to speak, is the equivalent of a loan, and he's not paying it back. The Gemara says no. He says he says no. He doesn't feel better because you're not going to be considered a Russian. He says that's why he says I sold it to you. That's why I sold you without any responsibility. That meant to say, like we debated this before. When I say that, so I mean to say even if I don't own it, I'm not responsible. You're buying they sold a cat in a sack. You're buying a cat in a bag. You see, or the mercy, you're buying a bag full of nuts. What do you want from me? I told you I'm not responsible. I'm not responsible. That's all you want.
You're undertaking the risk, and I'm selling it at a lower price.
Right. And as they say in America, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. You understand? You want a bargain, they get a bargain, but that's what you get. You understand? You want the cheap price, so you got no guarantee. And you know, by the way,
the monkeys?
If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Well, if you pay.
You get monkeys. Yeah.
Elephants.
Yeah. Oh, that's a different. Yeah. That's why you don't want it. That's why you don't choose your doctor by the price they charge. Yeah. That's why you don't choose the doctor by the price. And the other things, you choose the cheaper guy. But the doctor, you necessarily choose the cheaper one. You want a good doctor.
But the astronaut said that everything's made by the lowest bidder.
Well, they had the Iron Curtain up, so they had a law. They had private hospitals in Russia and government hospitals, and they had a law that no Jews could be doctors in the government hospitals. And the government hospitals were known colloquially as the no Jew hospitals because they weren't allowed.
They weren't as good.
Oh, so when anybody in the government would get sick, while they're taking, they said, well, don't take me to the no Jew hospital. Don't take me to the government hospital. They said, don't take me to the no Jew. They want to go to the hospital with the Jews on. This can't happen today, but I had a good friend whose brother was in the Downstate Medical Center in New York years ago, and a guy came in with serious wounds, a gunshot, and the guy started to treat.
Go across the street to Kings County.
So he started to treat him. And the guy started cursing. He said, "I doesn't want any Jew to touch him," and he wheeled him out. He put him back outside. You can't. That can't happen.
That you cannot allow.
Yeah, today. Yeah, he put him outside the emergency. He put him back outside. He said nobody stopped him. He said he's cursing. No Jew's going to touch me. He put him outside. Okay.
But they don't bring gunshots.
First of all, listen.
Go across the street.
First of all, I'm talking 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Anyway, Machwiz. Okay, Rabba. So Rabba now announced the following case. Everybody should know. The Item Rapapa. The Sak and Layla, anybody who goes up to Eretz Yisrael, the Nachman and Satar, anybody comes from Eretz Yisrael down to Babel, you should know this is the law. How about you sold the Zabin Leicham Yisrael Chavrei? If a guy sold, one Jewish person sold a donkey to his friend. And then a guy came and forcibly took it away from the buyer, saying that the donkey was really his, was really stolen from him. Now the truth is what the guy took it away forcibly. The halacha is that the original seller has to go to bat and try and retrieve the donkey from the goyim. They go to court and to try to retrieve the donkey from the goy to get it back to the Jew. In other words, to get it back to the Jew. But when is that? He's only responsible on very unique cases. One, he's only responsible where the buyer has not already ratified that the donkey really belonged, that he knew that it was part of his herd of donkeys. Yeah. No, it's one where he didn't admit, because if he admits that he knows that it's his, then the guy obviously just took something that doesn't belong to him, and we can't obligate the Jewish seller to go fighting for it. If the buyer admits, you understand, that it was really his donkey, the guy's not forced to go and try and retrieve it legally, because already the buyer admits that it really belonged to him and it was illegally taken. Okay, there was no. It's simply they simply took it by force. That's not the seller's job. And also we don't say it. Also, it has to be a case where the guy did not take both the donkey and the saddle. What do I mean to say? He took the donkey, said that's mine. The saddle wasn't his. And what's the point? Because there, the guy is showing that he's trying to do something legally. By the guy admitting that the saddle's not his, so to speak, or the accoutrements and the donkey is, we see the guy's essentially trying to do something legally. So then, when we see that it's likely that the guy somehow had at least some kind of claim, then the Jew, we can say we can obligate him to go and try and straighten out. But otherwise, no. Honestly, but if the guy comes and steals both of the donkey and the saddle, etc., then when we don't see that, because then it really, when it really looks like the guy is absolutely just a marauder, then we don't obligate the Jewish seller. A Maimar disagreed, and he said this with these rabbis, a rabbi. He said, "I feel leko kohani, even if we don't have any of these reasons for him not to be obligated, even if the guy doesn't admit that it's his donkey, even the guy that even if the guy took everything, he's still low. He's still the original Jewish seller. He said, agree to this law. He says, and the original seller is not obligated. My time, what's the reason? Because our relationship with idol worship is essential. The Torah taught us, made the yadai. He taught us the stam. We assume that the stam idol worshiper is a forceful thief, right? He just a marauder. And now it says, "Shapiyam dibra shav." A mouth speaks falsehood. The immediately in check in the right hand, the right hand falsehood. You can't expect. We don't really extend any credit that the forceful taking was done somehow legally, such that the original seller is obligated to go and try and do something. And we said in the Mishnah that a craftsman doesn't have a chazaka. Now the truth is we biased a little bit, and there's more than one way to look at this. In one case, it's a special case. We say that even though normally possession is indication of ownership, and goodbye, Charlie. If you once owned the thing and I have it, I must have bought it from you. What do I find out? And we say, well, but a craftsman is by definition different because since he always has other people's things in his house, we can't give him the normal assumption of possession to back up his ownership. Another way is to say that it's a special set of circumstances. Now we're going to see an argument between Rabbah and Abaya about this very point. Amar Rabbah said, Loshanu, this whole idea that you told me that the craftsman cannot use his possession as a way of claiming that this thing is his, okay? He said, and he is the position, like I told you. And we say, come on, this guy always has other people's things in his house, so we have to assume we can't give him the normal credit that because he possesses it, that it's his. But even that has caveats. Ella, it's only true shemasar lo be'edim. It has to be that the owner of the claimer past says that he gave over the object to the other person in front of witnesses. But if he didn't give it with witnesses, since even a craftsman mitoch is a word. Mitoch means since or by virtue of, and it's the same word as migo from since or by dint of. Because if he wanted, he could say to him, since there's no testimony that ever received the object, he can say, "What? I never got it. I never got it." Okay, when he said what? He said, "You never gave." So when he said, "I bought it," Mahaman, he's believed. So even he with amigo can be believed, and he gets back, so to speak, he gets back to normal position. Amalei Abaya. Abaya said to him 1 second. He says, "What are you talking about?" He says he doesn't even agree with him. He says that really that craftsmen are just essential like everybody else, but he says it's just a question of whether we know he has the object or not. We'll see in a second. Amalei Abaya, but Abaya said to me, he said, if it's true what you're saying, that as long as he has amigo, he's believed. Says Yachi, so why did you decide that when there's witnesses, he's never believed? That if there's no witnesses, then he has amigo. Then even if this thing was given over with witnesses, there's a case where he has amigo. Since he could always say to him, let's say what he got it with witnesses, but we don't know where it is. And he says, I gave it back. Since he could have said, I gave it back. When he says to him, he says, listen, I bought it from you in the end. It should be believed. So why are you dividing up only between witnesses and not witnesses? Even in the case of witnesses, there are times when he's believed. Amalei Rabbah, so Rabbah said to me, to 1 second, he said, he says, what you seem to be of the opinion that what? You must be of the opinion that if a person gave something to somebody with witnesses, the recipient doesn't have to give it back with witnesses. He can just claim that he gave it back. He said, you shouldn't hold that opinion. He says, the law is that if anybody deposited something to somebody else with witnesses, he has to give it back with witnesses. Once we have testimony that he received the deposit, he can never be believed that he gave it back unless he gave it back with witnesses.
Our world, the receipt count is the witness.
Oh yeah, we could claim. We have to discuss. But yeah, that's usually proof. Okay. Macy Bay. That's like you have
the dry cleaner gives you the ticket, and when your possession of the ticket indicates he has not yet returned.
Yeah. in Israel, a friend of mine figured out that he took the price of the dry cleaning costs money everywhere in the world, costs a bunch of money.
Too much.
So if you, it costs too much. So if you, it depends how much you pay for your suits. If you a fine schmecker, you have these $1,000 suits, okay. But if you buy a regular price suit, so the guy figured out that if he bought the suit and never cleaned it, and then got rid of it, bought a new one, he would be better than dry cleaning the suit. He could wear it sufficient times without cleaning, and for the same price, buy a new one.
You need a brush for that.
Yeah.
And you need a good hanger.
Yeah, but the guy did it. That was the guy. I was cool with the guy.
That's a men's warehouse.
Yeah. And Eretz Israel, people figure things out. That's basically what happens. Because you gotta, you do. Everybody figures. He figures out that trick.
Well, in New York, I paid 99 cents to.
That's pretty good. That
here, it's $4.
$4 shirt.
No, I mean, so you're right.
You can buy new shirts.
But my wife tried washing it. They don't look right.
You have to iron them.
Yeah.
The whole
They say non-iron, but it's
yeah.
What are they charging Eretz Israel to clean a suit?
I haven't done it. I've been away for a few years. It was expensive. It's expensive. Okay. Anyway, people figure things out. That's the joke. When I was a kid, also, huh?
It's the same amount for a cheap suit.
Exactly, that's the way. So when I was little, my whole growing up was studded with all kinds of people who had come to say Kaddish. There were all kinds of people. They weren't necessarily religious people, because in those days people had such phenomenal respect for their parents. Even though the children weren't observant, there was no question
but they came
that the kid was going to say Kaddish. Yeah, everybody would say Kaddish. So I had all my old time I was growing up. Every week or two there'd be a new person in shul who had not too much to do with the shul. But for 11 months they're going to be there and they're going to say Kaddish. And they were actually a great part of my education, because since they came to Judaism with such fresh eyes, it forced me to understand a very great deal about the Torah. Anyway, so one guy came, he was a very nice guy, and he decided shul, especially Shabbos morning in the old days, they daven there 3-4 hours. It's too hot, too long. He can't stand it. And everybody in those days, nobody came to shul without a suit and tie. He couldn't stand the heat. So eventually he took his shirts and he cut off the whole back and sides of the shirt. He had only the front
just
that goes with the tie. The collar and the front. People figure out what they got to do.
They sell that. It's
yeah. People figure out what they got to do. That's the answer. Okay. So now that was the argument. Okay. So now, so that's what Rabbah said. So there's two arguments now. Mesi Abaya wants to argue with Rabbah, and he says, "Listen," he says, "Are you sure?" He says that any time that you gave with witnesses, you can never be believed. He said, "Didn't?" He says, "Come on, we learned in a brisa. Ra avdo biad uman. Somebody saw a slave that belonged to him in the hands of a craftsman who's taking an apprentice. And he sees the slave being an apprentice to learn the craft from the craftsman. But Talisa or alternatively, this saw his garment in the hand of the washerman. Both these people are craftsmen. Omer lo. So the owner of the original owner can say to him, "Mati v'atzlacha, what's he doing by you?" So then, when the guy says back to him, he says, "You sold it to me." He said, "You gave it to me as a gift." He didn't say anything. Why? Okay, he didn't.
The Uman's
because he doesn't get a chazaka. Remember, we're not going to give him the credit. We're not going to give him the credit. Okay. But he says, but if he says, listen, in front of if he says, pardon me.
Amra lo
yeah, but if he says, b'fanei amartelo, he says but he says, but in front of me, you said to this guy to sell it or to give it to him, okay? But to give him as a gift. The Rav Kayam, then he's believed. No, it's as long as he says there has at least somebody who saw that it was that legally was supposed to give it to him, that he's believed. Maishna Reisha, Maishna Sefer. What's the difference between the Reisha and the Sefer? Either way, he has no proof. I'm a Rabbah, so Rabbah. Some people say Rabbah here. So Rabbah says what? Says Sefer biyotze mitachas yarach. And the Sefer, why he believes, is really a whole different case. It's really what? The object is now found in the hand of a third party who said that they bought it from the craftsman. Here's what's happened. In other words, so the owner, let's say the owner of the talus says to the third guy, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I bought it from the craftsman who you gave it to." Okay, b'fani amartelo, okay, and somebody says to the owner of the talus, "B'fani amartelo, in front of me, amartelo, you said to him the machali." He says, "You told him to sell it to me. You told the craftsman to sell it to me. You told him to give it to me as a gift. So why is that good? Migo di boy amarle minochsa binte." Since the guy could have just said, "Listen, I bought it from you," okay, he could have said, "I bought it directly from you." But he said, "What? No, in front of somebody, you told me to him to give it to me." He said, "In front of me, you told him to sell it to me." That's what the guy says. See, okay, so he's believed. So now Abai wants to say to Rabbi, he says, he's Tani Mias Resha, but look, at the beginning, what did we learn? The beginning of the Brisa. Raw, he said, when he saw the slave by the craftsman learning the craft, or he saw his talus by the washerman, he said, what he's not believed, Techidami, what's the case? According to you, if there were witnesses, okay, if there were witnesses, so according to you, anytime the thing was given over with witnesses, you're never believed unless you get it back with witnesses. Lamali raw. Why did it say that he saw it there? No, it's obviously we know that the guy's in possession of it. He says, even if he didn't see it, according to you, since anytime a thing is given over deposit with witnesses, you have to give it back with witnesses. You're not believed. And even if they didn't see it by him, just let him bring witnesses. Yeah, they say Edom and Ishkal. Even if he didn't see it in his possession, let him just bring witnesses and let him take it. Elalav, so you're forced to say what? The leki in the first case also must be without witnesses. Okay, and it's like me, and what? And so when there's no witness, when there's no witnesses, but as long as we see it's in his possession, the guy's allowed to take it away. The guy's allowed to take it from him. Okay, because according, and it's a problem because according to you, when he didn't give him with witnesses, he's believed in any case. So he says no. The olam the ikedim. He says no. There is a case where there are edim. Who the raw, okay, and even okay, and that doesn't make any sense though. And it's only if he saw it, so it doesn't make any sense. The answer is 160. What are you talking about? You can't say you're the one who said as an axiom that anytime a deposit is given with witnesses, it has to give it back with witnesses. So why when we don't see it, doesn't he have to give it back? Amar Lei says Hadribi says I renege. I renege on what I said originally, and I don't hold it. It's only what on condition that we see it, that we know that it's there. But if we don't know that it's there, he does have a claim. Macy Rava, okay, let's see the Rava. Rava wants to ask a kasha to Abaya in order to support the opinion of, the opinion of Rabba. If a guy, we learned also in a brisa, if a person gives his garment to a craftsman, and the craftsman says, "Listen, the deal was for let's say two pennies. You'll be able to pay $2 pennies, $2, whatever it is." And the buyer says, the owner says, "Listen, the deal was only for one to pay for your job." So long as the talus is still in the hand of the craftsman, so since he's in possession, okay, then it's going to be then the owner is going to have to be proved that it was only $1 and not $2. And why is that? Because since the craftsman has a migo, since he could have said, "Listen, this is my thing. I bought it from you," so he's believed up to the price he's believed about money up to the price of the like we learned before with sheep, things like that, same thing. No, okay, the son-in-law, but once the craftsman already gave the object back to the owner, okay, that depends. Bismano, okay, if it's the same day that he's supposed to give it back on that day, Nishba within that one day, Nishba, then he can swear that the deal was true. We know till he's going to get it. Abrazmano, okay, but if it's ready after the days pass and it's ready after sundown, so then it's a Motzei B'chel Raya. Now what? Now the subject back in the hand of the owner, and the craftsman is going to have to bring the proof because he was trying to extract money from the owner. What's the case? He says, if there are witnesses, okay, that he gave that saw the original owner give it over to the craftsman, lesser Edim Coming. The Adam would have known. We assume that when he handed it over, he said, "Here it is at a certain price." So the witnesses should tell us the price of the deal. Oh, okay, this must be one where there are no witnesses, and still we're believing, even with no witnesses. When there's no witnesses, we see that what that the craftsman is believed that
That the price. He paid when
amigo
he's
di
dead.
boy Amarle. Because
He has amigo.
even though because he has amigo, even though it's in his hand, but he believed why? Because he could say what the kuchi biyadi that I bought it. Mehem and nami agree. So since he could what he could say believe they own the whole object. He can certainly believe to say what he believed also to say what the deal was. And therefore what? So we have therefore 1 second. Therefore so do we have a proof to Rabbah who said, pardon me, that when there's no witnesses, so the craftsman is believed, okay, even though they saw the object, by him. It says, no, it says not true.
Are you going back there?
No, I'm just finishing the teretz. The olam. He says what? Only the leka edim has to be what? You can't say that. We can't bring a proof. We can say what? There were no witnesses. Who the low ra? In the cases where what? Where he didn't see it, and that when we don't know that the object is there. Everybody agrees that the craftsman is believed with a ego.
When we learned this, I used the example of blue and colored sport jacket, so you see it hanging in the rack.
Yeah, exactly. You know it's there. Exactly.
My friend of mine it was like $1,200, and this was 30 years ago. A polo, Ralph Lauren, custom sport jacket, but it was bright. So, and he was very proud. So I'm I saw you wear a yellow jacket. He was so embarrassed, he never wore it again. But he laughs. He tells the story.
Yeah,
Because my daughter-in-law is the most scrupulous. Sneers everything. So for a man to have a not sneer stick of bacon, she never saw that before in her whole life.
When I first came to Yerushalayim, nobody wore short sleeves. I'm not saying you can't. It's not us, but
Right.
when I came to Yerushalayim, nobody wore
Shorts.
short sleeves.
Short sleeves too. If it's shorts, people come to shul here.
So I want you to know, I worked at a place, and a guy who was absolutely not observant. An older man. He was a bursar at a department store, and he said to me, he never wears shorts in Yerushalayim. He's not religious.
But
He said, "There's a holy city, cover the city, the holy city."
Yeah.
The guy wasn't even observant. That was the old.
Florida is different.
Yeah.
but I went
God doesn't.
when it was the last time was next Israel, so I was staying by your friend's house in the Tanya.
Have a wonderful day.
So we're diving Shaffers by a Ashkenazi shul, which is about 3 or 4 blocks away. But there was this Spanish shul that was almost right across the street practically. So I used to go there from him to Maris. And I said the first time I ever saw it, I really caught my eye. They called somebody up there, somebody to Tom from the other. He walked up and he had a short sleeve shirt on. They had these 2 shirt sleeves.
Well, they put them on, yeah.
They put on the sleeve, and they wouldn't let him
They
down
wouldn't
with his.
Yeah,
with
with
his
short sleeves.
shirt.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
People
cutting
here
out the
get-
back of his shirt. And,
Yeah, people would,
Wearing
here
only
get
the front.
up to the up. He wants me to wear a tato. Everybody shouldn't make put on sleeves.
No, should you have a belt in your pants? It's good enough.
Yeah,
A belt is good. Yeah, thank God.
yeah.
So where are we going to find a substitute for Rabbi Green?
Yeah, you need. I'll be back. I mean, I gave him the dates. I'll be back like the beginning of September. I'll be right back.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know he was going away more than I thought he was going to be here. I think he also thought. Just got not sure.
Are you going to Israel?
I'm going to catch. I have
Your
2 more bar mitzvahs.
And your flight is not canceled yet? No?
I have a flight on El Al, fortunately.
Oh.
Do they
We're
have
flying
rent a
2
rabbi
airlines.
service here?
Huh?
Rent a rabbi.
You're at the right, that's like
Rent a magid.
So when you're leaving?
Tisha B'Av.
On Tisha B'Av?
On Tisha B'Av. So for the work for the, well, I should benefit from the flight when you fly.
Going
fly
until
east,
you're going
it
to gain
gets a little
7
shorter.
hours.
But I have to find the program because you have to be able to look out or be able to look outside. There's a program that knows the flight paths of the planes, and we'll tell you at a certain time where, you know, where you are in terms of, because which date, where I don't know what time it is,
Yeah.
you know, where I am.
Yes, part of my Zamanim.
Mazmanim has it?
My Zamanim, you go into services, it'll give you flight,
Oh, really?
in-flight times.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Mazmanim, I have it. I want to take a look. That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's good. Yeah, that's very important. I used to, when I first just started flying to America for the yeshiva, it was pitiful. People were davening, it was they were wrong. People were davening chakras, first of all, on the way there, they were davening chakras mamash in the afternoon. They were davening chakras like 3 p.m. They were completely wrong. Because they fell asleep, they woke up. They figured it's time for chakras.
Yeah.
But the morning had long passed. You know.
We go to Borough Park, you see a lot of davening shack is pretty close to Minster time.
Well, Borough
Yeah,
Park is
Borough
different
Park.
rules.
Different. But in general, you know, I'm not a fan of. I don't. I'm one of the people who thinks you shouldn't daven in a minyan on the place. I'm not a pro. I'm not pro.
And many don't.
I don't think so. I think it's dangerous. I think there's a lot of problems.
Right.
A lot of problems. I'm not the Rav Osner also held that way. You know, I had big people to, you know,
Yeah.
also said to me. I never felt it was right.
Davening in your seat, they said is preferable.
Yeah, that's what I do. People think you're not. People think you're a guy. You're not religious. You're not the big on the plane. I do everything I can not to daven a minyan on the plane. I try b'chalal not to have to daven on the plane. You say you have no choice. They're international flights. Sometimes you have no choice. I try my best. That's how I met Rabbi Heinemann.
Yeah.
There used to be. Doesn't exist anymore. It used to be TWA.
Right.
I used to fly TWA from Israel, and often, let's say, I'd be flying TWA and have to go to California. So I used to go upstairs in the TWA terminal. So the flight from Israel would get to New York, like, you know, early 5 a.m, 5:30. So I run upstairs, which was still closed. It was like
Right.
a whole dining area would be closed, and I used to be able to daven them. So one time I made a mistake. I put my tefillin in my suitcase, and that tefillin.
Wow.
So I had daven anyway. I go up to daven, and I see a religious man davening. I was going to daven, so I ran up to him. I said, "Please, you know, could you let me use your tefillin for 2 minutes after you daven?" He said, "You'll be quick." I said, "Yeah, today was behind him. I never met him before." So they have to introduce himself. That was a long time ago. That's
Yeah.
gone already.
Otherwise,
Yeah, that was TWA.
Okay, gentlemen, have a wonderful day.
You
Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Yeah.
I had some notes that I wrote in here.
Yeah.
Hell, yeah, no, about how many years ago.
Oh, how about my phone?
We went on. The next page, I
Yeah.
realized those notes that I wrote.
They were not right. We'll see. Let's see. Well, you have notes.